Does. All right. Hi, friends. Welcome. Thank you for hopping on. I'm so excited for us to talk about cultivating unshakable confidence on the track. So normally sometimes I have PowerPoints for you. Today I will not, because I have not gotten Wi-Fi in my house yet. That's the reason why I'm sitting in my bed doing this from my cell phone. I actually have no furniture yet either. So here we are. No Wi-Fi, no furniture. Just you, me, this bed, and my cell phone service that will hopefully hold up. Hi, Karen. Hi, DJ. Hey, Lauren. Sweet. I'm busting out my notes so we can get this party started. For all my Crash Course peeps, we just finished a live in the Crash Course in Transformation Facebook page about cultivating cultivating radical self-compassion, making friends with our little girl on the inside. It was awesome. Hey, Jenny, welcome. All right, my friends. Here we go. We're doing it. I'm figuring it out. There we go. Maybe. All right. Here we go. So for those of you guys who don't know me, hi, my name is Chrissy Crash. I have been running roller derby since 2006. I have been coaching roller derby athletes on becoming amazing, epic humans on the track since 2009. And I just love helping people become badass athletes. You know, for me, I was a smoker, drinker, fast food eater. I just was not going down a good path. And then I found roller derby and it changed my motherfucking life. And so since then, it has been my mission to help other people have that same kind of transformation and pay that forward, because I am forever grateful to the sport. Comment in the chat box if you are hell yeah, forever grateful to the sport for what it's done for your life. Yeah, so that is why we're here. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Sarah. Awesome. So today I wanted to talk about cultivating unshakable confidence, because I think that, you know, aside from skills on the track, one of the places where skaters get caught up is the 6 inches between their ears. And the problem is that it not only impacts our time on the track, but when you don't have confidence in yourself as an athlete, it can make all of your other off-track time miserable, because you get so worried and stressed out about your time on the track, and we use our brain for evil instead of for good. We start worrying instead of visualizing, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that, okay? So ultimately, what my wish for you is that when you step on the track, when you lace up your skates, when you first get ready on the jam line for that very first start, that you're coming in not with fear, but with fuck yeah. So comment and chat in the chat box with fuck yeah if you're ready for some hell yes confidence on the track. So I have for you my top 6 ways of building confidence on the track. And so if you haven't yet, go run, get something to jot this stuff down. These are things that I recommend that you put somewhere that you can see them every day, whether you make yourself a to-do list that you can kind of check in on this stuff every day. Whether you put a Post-it note inside of your skate bag, just make sure you air out your skate bag so it doesn't get moldy and gross. Hi, Samantha, welcome. But these are some key things that I have taken on over the years that have helped me cultivate unshakable confidence on the track, because there is nothing as sweet as that feeling of getting on the track, feeling so solid in yourself, so solid in who you are for yourself, for your team, that you're just like, we are here to fucking win. And not just being able to do it in games that are easy where you know you're gonna win, but walking on the track like that in games where you're worried about how is this gonna go? Because ultimately, hey Kristen, hey Alicia, because ultimately at the end of the day, the games where the points differential is going to be really small are going to be the most important games for you to have confidence on the track. And if you do not take on these 6 things, you will not be able to walk out there and absolutely crush it in the moments when it's going to make the most difference. Okay? It's not about being a badass athlete when you guys are going to win by 100. It's about being a badass athlete in the moment where you have to turn it up. Okay? So, here we go. I'm not going to leave you guys waiting any longer. here is my list of top 6 things that you must do to cultivate some serious unshakable confidence on the track. So the first one is practice and preparation. Okay, here's the deal. Consistent practice builds confidence. Okay, so if we can focus on developing your skills, improving your endurance, and understanding like the different strategies inside of roller derby, what's going to happen is you're going to be more prepared and you're going to be more confident during games. Now, I say this all the time, that you have to train like a motherfucker. Like, endurance wins game. We had a Facebook Live on here about training the other day, and I said it, endurance wins games. Because here's the thing, when you have sick endurance on the track, what happens is, because your body isn't freaking out about the fitness aspect of what you're doing, you're calm enough to think about the hole that you need to take, to be able to communicate to your other teammates. Because you're not out of breath, you can have a literal conversation, right? When you're not lacking oxygen from lack of fitness, you're able to think more clearly about the play that has to come next. And so practice and preparation, having a foundation of amazing endurance, is a key piece of just being ultimately confident on the track, because you're not worried about getting out of breath. You're not worried about keeping up with the pack, which allows you to then start thinking about things like strategies. It allows you to start, executing your skills without being exhausted. Okay. Similarly, in practice and preparation, you have to hammer in on the skills that you're not good at. So I know for me, when I first started, I sucked at plow stops. Can I get a hell yeah in the chat box if everybody else is not a huge fan of the plow stops? I was not in the beginning. Hey, Gabby. Hi, Dee. Hey, Tiara. But for me, I had to then choose. I had to take my own practice into my own hands and choose to get better at plow stops. I showed up earlier to practice. I asked a vet, Tara Armoff. I was like, can you come in early and help me with my plow stops? I was terrified of her, by the way, but I knew she could help me because she was a really good trainer. And so she came in like 15 minutes early, helped me with my plow stops, unlocked everything for me, right? So having the practice and those repetitions over and over is going to build your confidence, because ultimately, in order to have the confidence to be a better athlete, you have to have your fundamental skills down. You have to have your fitness down. And then having the repetition of the strategies and plays that your team runs is going to build confidence. If you're not sure what to do on the track, of course you're not going to feel confident. But if you know and you run over in your head all the time, okay, if it's a power jam for the other team, then my team's going to do this, right? Like, understanding different scenarios the same way that you understand basic math is going to allow you to have confidence. But if you're a newer skater, this stuff is going to come over time. But you have to be aware of it. You have to be willing to put in the reps, being willing to show up. So that's the first one. Okay, practice and preparation. Number 2, setting achievable goals. Okay, I want you to set specific, realistic, measurable goals for yourself. Okay, you have to break them down into smaller milestones and then celebrate each achievement along the way. Okay, accomplishing little goals is going to boost your confidence and motivate you to push further. So when you have these big, giant goals that you set and you're like, well, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet. Man, I'm a crappy skater. It really kills your confidence. Whereas if you're like, okay, so my goal was to do 21 laps in 5 minutes instead of 20. Okay, next time my goal is to do 21 and a quarter laps in 5 minutes, right? Or my goal is to, maybe I'm going to get scored on, but I'm going to stay in my wall, right? Like, if you can chunk it down into little tiny goals, it's going to allow you to feel like you're making progress, okay? Especially when it comes to showing up to practice. If you're setting intentions for yourself at the beginning of each practice, it allows you to feel like you won the practice, because you have your own personal focus of, this is the thing that I'm working on today. It's a small basic thing, but I'm going to work on it over and over until I master it. And then I'm going to move on to the next small basic thing. Okay. So making sure that you're not just going, well, I want to get better at roller derby. I want to be as good as that all-star. Like, that's not going to cultivate unshakable confidence. What's going to cultivate unshakable confidence is teeny tiny little wins, little baby steps forward towards your next goal, right? That's going to have you feel, boom, I won, boom, I won, boom, I did it, boom, I did it. And now what you're doing is you're building up a history of what it feels like for you to win. You're building up proof that you can win at stuff. And that is going to allow you to step on the track a lot more confident. Okay? All right, here we go. Hang on. Organizing my notes. Here we go. Next one is visualizing success. So here's the deal. You have to spend time visualizing yourself performing well on the track. Okay? You have to really I can't get over and express the power of imagining executing flawless moves, making strategic decisions, and achieving your goals. Okay? This kind of mental rehearsal can actually help build up confidence and prepare your mind for success. So my question for you is, the days leading up to a game, are you sitting there imagining yourself failing out, imagining yourself getting scored on, sitting there being anxious about doing shitty? Look, all you're doing is you're building the muscle of using imagination for evil instead of for good. All you have to do is, in the moment you catch yourself going down that path, start imagining yourself, but what if you're already in the moment of what ifs. Like, what if I blocked that person? God, how good would that feel? What if I blocked them and I blocked them out of bounds, and then I turned around, toe step, and I ran back, and then as they stepped on, I pulled the cut? Like, if you can just imagine these best case scenarios, it's not gonna hurt you to imagine best case scenarios. In fact, if you think about it, a roller derby game is like an hour long, right? But the week leading up to your game is 168 hours long. So if you're going to spend, let's say, half of those sleeping and doing other stuff, but let's say you spend 80 of those 168 hours stressing about this 1 hour game, right? That's 80 hours of your life that you have just spent miserable. Whereas you could spend 80 hours of your life imagining doing it right, imagining kicking ass at it. It's not going to change the outcome. Well, actually, it is going to change the outcome because you'll perform better. But even if you imagined the whole time leading up to it that you kicked so much ass, and then during the game you fucking flopped, well, you improved the quality of your life for 80 hours of your life because you were imagining doing it right. So then the 1 hour, it's like, okay, well, I fucked it up. How am I going to do better? But imagine how much life you get back if you stop visualizing the negative. And then what if you just try on and consider that when you visualize something, it's the same thing as your body physically practicing it. They have done so much research on this, you guys, that if you, for example, visualize yourself playing the piano, hitting the right keys, etc., the next time you sit down at the piano, you will be better at it. So you have to understand that if you are practicing fucking it up in your brain, you're literally practicing it to the point that the next time you do it, you're probably more likely to fuck it up. And so you owe it to yourself to simply imagine doing it right. Because at the end of the day, you're doing mental practice. So a way that you can do this is, and I teach this to my clients, is that when you're lacing up your skates before practice, I want you to imagine yourself kicking ass. Like, very specifically, like, what are the things that you want? Is it you breaking out of the pack? Is it you taking a hole? Is it you getting an assist? Is it you blocking someone out of bounds? Like, imagine how it's going to feel. Okay. And then similarly, when you do it, okay, I want you, after you do it, let's say you have a practice, and in that practice you have a jam where you do something awesome. Okay. Whatever it is, as soon as you get off the track, I want you to run yourself through that exact moment 3, 4, 5 times. Because what you're doing is you're capitalizing on having done something right once and now rehearsing it in your brain 3, 4, 5 times. So you're 5xing the amount of times that you just did it. Okay. And so, for example, when I would get home from derby practice at night, I would lay in bed, I would close my eyes, and I would replay any of those really awesome moments that I had at practice. Because now I'm leveraging the great moments of practice, and I'm actually redoing them again to fortify them right before I go to sleep, when your brain is going to process and keep all that stuff in there. So just catch yourself. If you're visualizing the shit, you are literally practicing fucking it up. So it's time to start taking those moments and going, hold on. But what if it went well? I want you, every time you say, what if I fail? I want you to pause and I want you to just counteract it. Yeah, but what if I was awesome? What if I absolutely crushed it? How amazing is it gonna feel when you get hit out of bounds, you stop really fast and you get right in behind that jammer? Like, feel it in your body when you do it. And it's the exact same thing as doing practice, okay? Now, number four is positive self-talk, okay? So replacing self-doubt with positive and self-affirming talk is huge. This is gonna encourage you to really focus on your strengths, right? And also remind yourself of past successes. So kind of similar to visualization, notice where in your life you go, oh, well, I'm slow. Well, I'm just not a really good skater. Oh, well, I can't do I can't do plow stops. I can't do a mohawk. I can't do a transition. I can't stop the jammer. Well, no, you just haven't done it yet. Well, consider the difference between I can't do a plow stop and I'm working on doing my plow stops, right? One is like, well, I just can't freaking do it. And the other one's like, well, I'm gonna get there. I just need to get a little bit better. This one leaves room for possibility. I'm working on my plow stops right now. I'm gonna get better at my plow stops. Whereas this one, you're like, this is who I am and this is how it's gonna be forever. And that's what keeps us stuck in that spot when we have these negative I ams. I am slow. I am not a good jammer. Like, whatever it is, these are the things that are gonna keep you stuck. Okay, so if you're gonna build your confidence, you have to mind how you're talking to yourself. Okay. Number 5, numero cinco, as they would say down here in the Costa Rica, embrace failure as learning opportunity. Look, like in any sport, you're going to have ups and downs, right? But when we dwell on our failures, it doesn't get us anywhere, right? You have to use them as a learning experience. So look at what went wrong, make adjustments, and then use those lessons to improve your skills and your performance. So it's as simple as going, well, that didn't work. How could I have done that better? Versus, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get out of the pack? Just, well, that didn't work. What could I have done better? I like to say it's kind of like being a Roomba, right? A little Roomba bounces around, finds a wall. Okay, there's a wall. I'll go over here. Okay, there's a wall. Okay, there's a wall. There's a wall. There's a wall. It's not like, oh my God, I'm such a stupid Roomba. I hit the wall. What's wrong with me, stupid Roomba? Why don't I know the shape of this room? No, it just simply is like, okay, well, that didn't work. I'll go over there. Well, that didn't work. I'll go over there. So if we can have that same lack of criticism for ourselves when we screw up and just look at it objectively. Don't make it personal. You're not a failure. You're not a terrible person. You just didn't do something right. You just got scored on. You just got stuck in the pack. How can you do it better next time? Okay. And number 6, the final, most important one, I think, is surround yourself with support. Okay. Inside of your community, build a support system of teammates, coaches, friends who believe in you, right? Their encouragement, their feedback, their camaraderie, these are things that can significantly boost your confidence and provide you with a real awesome sense of belonging. That's such a magical part of what roller derby is. So if you can even have like a buddy that at the end of practice, or my coaches here, this is something that you can do at the end of practice with your whole team, is at the end of practice, say, what is one thing that you did right today? So during your stretching, sitting around saying, everyone's saying, what's one thing that you did right today at practice? It's a great way for everyone to encourage and support each other. It goes back to practicing our visualizations, right? But also if just having a buddy, even that you check in with after practice, like, hey, here's 3 things that I kicked ass at today. Because you're just getting yourself in a situation where you're now not just receiving it from yourself, but you're receiving outside feedback about it, okay? And you just have to understand that confidence is gonna take time, okay? And by implementing these 6 things, practice and preparation, setting achievable goals, visualizing success, positive self-talk, embracing failures as a learning opportunity, and surrounding yourself with support, when you do that, if you were to do that intentionally for the next 3 to 6 months, you would be an entirely different skater. Okay? Now, the difference is there's those of you that are going to watch this and do it, and there's those of you that aren't. And what I have found is that part of being a community, having accountability, is a huge piece of it. And honestly, it's why we created Crash Course. We created a community and an area and like a group where you're inside of a container of athletes that want to get better. It's a way to be accountable to showing up and doing these things every single day. So if you're someone who does want to get better, if you want support, we do have, I think, 6 spots open this month for Crash Course. So you can comment below with I'm in, or even better, just shoot me a quick DM and I can send you over details. But at the end of the day, if you want to have confidence on the track, it's going to involve showing up and doing these things intentionally every single practice. Doing these things in your regular life every single day, moment by moment, is how you're going to become a better athlete. So thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you guys again next Tuesday for another Facebook Live. If you have questions, if there are things that you want me to cover, you can feel free to leave those in the chat. You can DM me. If you want to learn more about Crash Course, you can comment below with I'm in, or send me a message. Hi, Jess Hill. I love you. And I will see you guys later. Thanks so much. Bye.